Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Come on in. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. Go ahead, if you're just coming in, go ahead and like and share the page, like, share the broadcast, and invite someone to come on in as well. It is 10 o'clock. Welcome to the Creative Overcomer. I am Stefanie White. I am the lead creative of Rave Creative Impressions, and I am striving every day to be a voice for the creatives, training my ear to listen to the one and only creator. And to find out more about me and what I do, you can always go to www.stefaniewhite.com, Stefanie, white.com, and please stay abreast with what's going on with Rave Creative Impressions by following Rave World 2.0 on Facebook and on IG. Again, like, share the post. You want to like, share, and post. Make sure that you are staying abreast with what's going on. I am here every single night in the month of November, every night at 10 p.m., giving you 30 minutes for 30 days. So I want you to engage with me. I want to engage with you. Go ahead and give me the hearts, give me the thumbs up, give me comments so that I can engage with you as well. I am going to take a second and share this broadcast with a few individuals. Share this. Tonight is an interesting topic, as all of the nights have been interesting. But tonight is about perfectionism. So if you have struggled with being a perfectionist, tonight is for you. Hey, Irvin. Tonight is for you. If you've ever struggled with being a perfectionist, tonight is for you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. It is 10:05. I want to get in and get out. All right, so being a perfectionist. Now, this whole month, again, if this is your first time coming on, I'm calling myself the Creative Overcomer because I know that there are certain things as a creative person that you have to overcome. I have myself overcame every last topic that we've talked about. Every topic from depression to anxiety to procrastination, all of the topics that I've already discussed over the last 11 days, I've personally had to deal with. If you don't know what I'm talking about over the last few days, you can always go to YouTube channel, Rave World 2.0. All of the videos from all of the nights from the very first night, they're there on YouTube. Every night I post it because I don't know who might need to see this, okay? So tonight is no different. Tonight is about perfectionism and how I overcame being, that I don't want to call it a spirit, but perfectionist, being a perfectionist, okay? I'm going to give you a quick definition of what perfectionism is. It isn't an illness. It's the effects of a mental illness. Somewhere along the lines, you believe that what is on the inside of you is not ready to share with the world. I had so many examples to share with you guys of certain times that I myself have delayed what I was supposed to produce because it wasn't perfect, right? So I had to take an example out of the Apple handbook, okay? I don't have an Apple. I am not an Apple user. I don't care for apples. But what I do love is an iPhone will release. Look at the very first time an iPhone was released, right? The iPhone was released, and every single iPhone that was released after that, it was not perfect, but there was something additional that it rebranded, it repurposed, it did something And it wasn't perfect, the first one, but they still continue to sell out every single time. And I thought about that. I was like, they reinvented themselves every single time, and every single time you didn't buy a perfect version of an iPhone, because they came out with something else that right behind it, not even a year later, that they figured out, wait, we can add this, we can do this, we can. So I looked at that example of what iPhone presented to us as something that wasn't perfect, but we bought it. And no, let me not say we, because I've never purchased an iPhone. Pat myself on the back, Android user. But as those who love iPhones and understand that an iPhone does what an iPhone does, and on every single level, it has rebranded itself. It's revalued itself, even in its unperfect state, right? And I had to give a shout out to my cousin. I'll share her product on my page, but I have to give a shout out to my cousin Ebony Gathers, Ebony Howell. I'm sure she's changing her name yet. She started making soaps, and it was not something that she thought of as a business venture. She started to make them because her daughter needed them, or her daughter, was suffering some type of skin effects, puberty and things like that. And she decided to make her own soap, right? And making her own soaps, we're not going to talk about Androids. Don't worry about an Android, Miss Sharonda. We're talking about iPhones. There are 25 iPhones, okay? There's not, we Androids are different. We're different. Anyway. My cousin Ebony, she found a product that she know that she needed. She found something that she know that she needed for her daughter, and it wasn't perfect. It wasn't immediately something that she felt like could have been on the shelf at a store. She just did it, just for the sake of doing it. And her product is called Natural Herbs Skincare. And she studied on the effects of each soap that she created. She decided, okay, men need this, let me make this for men. Women need this, let me make this for women. Children need this, let me make this for children. And it wasn't something that she was expecting for it to be in a grocery store. She wasn't packaging it to sell to the masses. It was something for home use that she just had around the house. And if friends and family decided, they wanted to purchase it, they would, come in and get a bar from her. And it started to take a whole life of itself. And again, I'm shouting out my cousin, Ebony, who I've watched from the very thought, the very idea of creating this soap. And she now has, I believe, well over 40 items that she can sell. This is something that if she would have waited for it to be perfect, she would not see the profit now. Now, everything about the business isn't perfect still, but she's doing it. She's moving. She's taking what she knows, and she is making a mark for whatever it is that she wants to produce. She's not waiting on anything to be perfect. She's not waiting on someone to see her product and say, hey, listen, come on over to Walmart. No, she's going to sell it the best way she knows how. And I love that about her. There are so many other individuals who have products and have different product ideas that they have started in infant stages, and they are not waiting for it to be a perfect product. I wrote the book, and I still to this day felt like I did not add all the things that I needed to add in the book, which is why there's another part to the book. So here's a part of something that I need to give this to you guys, because I hope that once you watch this, that you will Stop sitting on whatever it is. Stop waiting on it to be perfect, because it may never be perfect. It may never get to the perfection state that you're hoping for it to be. If you don't take a chance on yourself, why would someone else take a chance on you? Okay? If you don't take a chance on yourself, if you don't move, if you don't get up, and Sharonda said this yesterday, get up and move. Get up. Stop laying there. There's things that we have to do. We are purposed to do this, and we're purposed to do it now. Don't wait. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. All right? You are born to live, not be perfect. So don't confuse perfectionist. This is something important. Don't confuse perfectionist with the timing either, because there's a difference. Now, just because it's not perfect, it's not ready, does not always mean that it's time for you to produce it and just move right out there. There's a source that you need to connect with before you produce and release anything. There is a source. And the source is, for me, see, I only speak for me. For me, it's Jesus Christ. I don't know where your source is. I don't know who you pray to, but whoever that is, that's the source. So don't move without the source knowing you're about to move, okay? But there is a difference. There's a difference in the timing. There's a difference when you are trying to produce something in its perfect state, and when you are producing something and it's out of timing and out of season. So just be careful of that. You can have a perfect idea and produce it at the wrong time. I have a book of ideas, and I know there is no way in the world I am supposed to produce all of those things within this short period of time. But what I will do is keep a tally of all of the things that I am going to do, and when it's time, the doors will open. You'll know when it's time. You'll know when it's time for you to release those things. What will happen if you were able to succeed, and that is what is noticeable about you? What happens if someone sees that even in this unperfect state, even in this beginning stages, even in this this food truck idea, even in this, and I'm sure that there are so many other individuals who are watching who have a food truck idea. So this is for you. Even if it is the play that's supposed to produce the song, even the album that's supposed to be produced. If Irvin is still on here, Sharon is still on here. These are things that you are going to produce. What will happen if you put it out there? What happens if someone sees you performing at an open mic night and say, hey, wait a minute. I used to be afraid of doing karaoke. I was afraid of doing karaoke. Why? It's not that I don't know how to sing. It's just I don't really know if I really want people to notice me in singing. Which is why I would shy away from it. I would shy away from singing altogether. But what if their biggest break was found in the grocery aisle at Publix, and they're humming a song, which nowadays it goes viral. I think about the time where Tyrese was noticed. Tyrese was noticed literally on in the most obscure place. Someone noticed him singing, and he became this phenomenon as a Pepsi, in a Pepsi commercial. I think it was Pepsi. It was Pepsi or Sprite, one of those. I think it was Sprite, one of those. But just imagine if he would have kept his mouth closed. So you don't know what will happen if you actually put that out there, and instead of waiting on it to be perfect. What if you attempted it and it went perfectly, or it went everything was in place. It was in its place. I don't want to use the word perfect. For me, perfectionism limited me. Because I wanted everything to be perfect, I would sit on things for years. And I think I told you about my procrastination state, that someone else decided to produce that event because I did not do it, right? Perfectionism feeds other unhealthy behaviors. I just said one, procrastination. making excuses, anxiety, depression. Those perfectionism is something that feeds that unhealth. If you feed it, if you feed anxiety, it grows. If you feed depression, it grows. Perfectionism is the food, right? So you don't want to watch how you feed perfectionism. So how did I overcome it? Again, every night I want to tell you not only what it is, but I want to tell you how I overcame it, right? So I overcame it by asking myself some questions. I had to get real with myself. These are the questions. I talk to myself, and that's fine. What does me being perfect in this moment, what does it feed? Does it feed my ego? Does it feed my pride? Is that why I'm not producing it? Because I care what people are going to say if I don't produce it? What about that picture that I post or didn't post? What does being perfect feed? What will happen if it's not perfect? What happens if it's not perfect? If it's not perfect, do you die if it's not perfect? Do you, let's see, ball up in a ball and just like shrivel? No, you don't do that. Let's see, if you're not perfect, if it's not perfect, do you get booed? I mean, what happens when it's not perfect? The play that I produced in last year was, to me, it wasn't perfect, and I was very, very sketchy about allowing it to go forth. But I said, you know what? This serves a purpose. It's beyond me. It's beyond everyone in this room. It needs to take its course. And everybody thought that the production was phenomenal. Everyone, they raved about it and they just loved it. Me, I still cringe when I watch the video because it wasn't what I thought was a great representation of what we practice and we labored and all of those things, but it touched so many people. It did what it was supposed to do, which was it healed something in someone. It touched the hearts of individuals. It motivated individuals. It gave some of the actors and actresses a time to shine that have never done this before. So I had to step back and say, you know what? If it's not perfect, that's fine. We did it. We made it, right? Another thing that I had to ask myself to overcome perfectionism: whose standards am I living by? Who's the measuring gauge? Like, who's holding up the meter to tell me this was perfect? Other than myself, other than God, like who else is doing that? So whose standards am I living by? If it's my standards, then guess what? I need to remove all of those things that's hindering me from producing and allow it to be what it's going to be. I have to trust and lean only on Christ, that whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Whatever is going to be on that stage, it's going to be on that stage. All right. And then one other thing that I had to start doing was experimenting. Even when I write now, I send out the pages to a few beta readers, is what we call them, especially for authors. You look for a beta reader. If it's something in music, you always let someone else hear it. You want to get their take on what it sounds like. So let someone else in. Someone that you trust, someone that you know is going to give you real answers, real feedback, right? So those are 4 ways I gave you. What does being perfect feed? Are you trying to feed your ego? You're trying to feed your pride? What will happen if it's not perfect? Ask yourself these questions. Whose standards am I living by? And then get yourself a trusty circle that can experiment and be beta testers and beta readers and things like that. I have a challenge for you. Because I've been seeing this a lot lately. I have a challenge. I'm going to post this challenge as well on the Rave Creative Impressions page. Post a picture without a filter. Post a picture without a filter. I think nowadays, because we have all of these things that we can add to our pictures to make our picture appear the way we want it to appear. When I realized, I was like, ooh, I don't like that dent on my butt. I don't like that curve in that waist. And there's a tool that you can actually edit those things out. You can add curves. You can take away, just be yourself. I challenge you to post a picture of yourself without a filter. Of course, I got to give you some scripture. Ecclesiastes 7:20 says, surely there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and never sins. We may serve a perfect God who grants us perfect peace and perfect love, but not one time did he ask us to be perfect. Strive for perfection, but he didn't ask us to just appear perfect, because we're only perfect with his grace, with his power, with his hand, his strength. Even when we reach the top of a perfect point, we should always look for ways of improvement to make things better, not perfect. You don't want to get to the top and look down and like, okay, there's nowhere for me to go. You always want to, just like iPhone, be like iPhone. Things break, the cloud breaks, AT&T goes crazy, whatever the case is. iPhone has figured out ways to reinvent, make things better. We strive to perfection. I feel if we make it perfect on our own, then what will God perfect in us? How will he do it if we try to do everything on our own? So I want to say that I passed the test today. I have honestly struggled with perfection. Literally, I want to say my grad years of education, everything that I wanted to do, I wanted it to be perfect. If I didn't get an A, if I didn't get that, like I had a problem. I really did. And I knew I had a problem. I identified it. But I've noticed over the years that I do not have to be perfect. And I've noticed over the years that I've worked on allowing things to not always have to be in a perfect state. Even my bed, like everything does not have to be in a perfect state. The house does not have to be cleaned perfectly. I mean, come on guys, like every now and then you're going to have dust somewhere. Like everything is not going to be perfectly in its place. My hair, it may not always be perfect. So I said I passed the test because years ago I was labeled as a perfectionist. And today, I know many of them have no idea why I asked this question, but I asked a few individuals to tell me 5 words to describe me, right? And I'm going to read the words to you. And I'm telling you, I passed the test. I passed the test. The words were intelligent, beautiful, business-driven, team player, special, humorous, professional, understanding, boss, loving, loyal, hardworking, kind, giving, humble, ambitious, sweet, sexy, got that, giving, hardhead, smart, strong, talented, versatile, adaptable, adventurous, inventive, passionate, sensible, complex, eclectic, zealous, and generous. No one said perfect. I passed the test. And you may think that that's not a big thing. It wasn't a big obstacle, but it has stifled me for years. For years, I would not release product, things, ideas, because I did not feel like it was in a perfect state. And I believe that it has stifled me for years, but no more. I have a newfound way of thinking and doing, and when it's time to be released, it will be released. When it's time for me to produce, whatever state it's in, it's going to be produced. Not saying that I don't care, but I think that perfectionism in me, it fuels another part of a place that I don't want to go into. I don't want to release it just because I want someone to say, Stefanie, that was great. No, I want to release it because it's timely and there's a purpose behind me releasing it. There's a reason for me releasing it. So I passed the test. You don't have to give me a hand clap or a pat on the back, but I passed the test. I want you to pass the test too. I don't want you to get caught up in perfectionism. I don't want you to get caught up in everything having to be perfectly aligned. When it's time to be released, it needs to be released. Don't miss your moment. Don't miss the window. Don't miss the open door, because if you miss the open door, you're going to have to wait for it to come back around. If you miss the opportunity, you're going to have to wait for another cycle. You miss the opportunity, you have to wait around another mountain. Like, don't miss it. Don't miss it trying to be perfect, because whose standards are you going off of? When it's time, you'll know it's time. Don't hesitate. Don't try to add more. Don't try to do more. Don't try to feel like the competition is going to be this. The one thing about my cousin that I'm telling you, I loved her push, her poise about her product. It didn't matter that there's soap in the stores. It didn't matter that someone else produces soap. All it mattered was she knew what she had. She knew her clientele, and she knew exactly how to produce it without it having to be perfected. And that's the thing that I want you guys to overcome today. I'm going to challenge you. Post a picture without a filter. Post a picture without a filter. Don't worry about who likes it. Don't worry about who loves it. Post a picture without a filter and see what happens. That is night 12. Guys, thank you so much. 12 days. If you have watched any of the videos, thank you. If you watched tonight and you got something from it tonight, thank you. I'm thanking you for just being open to hear from me. So again, I thank you for joining me. I'm here same time tomorrow, 10 p.m. For the next 18 days, right? 18 days? Yes, 18 days. I will be here for the rest of the month of November. Even on Thanksgiving, holidays, we don't sleep. I was here with you guys yesterday for Veterans Day. So, doesn't matter. Join me tomorrow for another topic, giving you 30 more minutes and closing out these 30 days. I am the creative overcomer. My name is Stefanie White, and I am the lead creative of Rave Creative Impressions, and I end it every night. By now, you should know this, and if you don't, get this deep within. If you don't do it, who else will? Because nobody can do what you are purposed to do like you. So be unique, be creative, and be purposeful. Until tomorrow, I'll see you then. Have a great night, everyone.